Hi everybody and welcome back to Loft Legacy. Today I'm going to look at what I think is one of the two best albums of an entire genre. We're looking at Among the Living by Anthrax. Came out in March 1987 on Megaforce Records, and to me, for the thrash metal genre era, this and Master of Puppets are the two big ones. Personally, out of the big four thrash bands, namely the aforementioned Metallica, Anthrax, Megadeth and Slayer, Anthrax were and are still my favourites of those four and of the whole genre. An album dedicated to Cliff Burton. It came out a year after Master of Puppets, and Anthrax toured on the Master of Puppets Metallica tour supporting Metallica. This is an awesome sounding album. They actually got Eddie Kramer to co-produce it with them. Eddie Kramer, famous of Kiss, Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones. So they said they were kind of amazed that he said, yeah, I'll co-produce it with you, because I believe Eddie Kramer wanted to dip his toes in the thrash genre. Some say the album is a bit of a hangover to the Stormtroopers of Death projects. I agree with you. I do own the Stormtroopers of Death Speak English or Die album, and some of the shouty parts are transposed to Among the Living. I just love this album. Let's look at the cover first. Artwork, really for Stephen King, The Stand, which Among the Living is for, the book and the TV miniseries. And here we have a pre-board short Anthrax in a rather grim New York subway scene, and a picture of each of the band members looking rather sweaty and on stage. And it's great to see Scott Ian with hair again. He's got knots shaved in his chest there. What a trooper for the whole thrash and metal genre Scott Ian is. Great guy. So the lineup's Charlie Benante, the Chief. To me, one of the big underrated drummers out there. Just the constant bombardment, and for a fast drummer who can do blast beats, is extremely rhythmic. And having seen Anthrax a few times in concert, his drumming really does push the band. He's the driving force. When you see them live, it's Charlie Benante that pushes it. And you know what? He seems a really nice guy. I almost randomly emailed him before a concert about 20 odd years ago saying, is there going to be an after show party? And he actually responded in person saying, sorry Dave, there's no after show party after this, so thanks for your email. And it's like, wow, was that really him? I think it probably was really him. Hope it was anyway. Dan Spitz on lead guitar, who's now a watchmaker, left the music industry and now makes watches. Yeah, interesting guy. Scott Ian, rhythm guitar, that real soul behind Anthrax, shouting the backing vocals. Yeah, I always see that Scott Ian is the spiritual leader of Anthrax. Might disagree with me. If you disagree with me, disagree in the comments below. Joey Belladonna on vocals, not the original vocalist. Then he left and John Bush took over. And John Bush did a really good job. I showed them a few times with John Bush, an excellent singer. But Joey Belladonna really is the voice of Anthrax. And Frank Bello on bass guitar, another iconic thrash performer over the years. In fact, although I once saw Anthrax without me, he had a family bereavement, so he got somebody else on bass, and Anthrax just looks odd live without Frank Bello on bass. But there you go. What I call a classic Anthrax lineup. So it's produced by Anthrax and Eddie Kramer for Remarkable Productions. Executive producer, the late great John Zazula. So this was very much on Megaforce Records and distributed by Island Records. Strange bedfellows. Island Records bringing it out. So that's a picture of Anthrax live on stage in New York, and some extremely small font credits saying thank you, with about 1,000,001 people on there. And I'm not going to read them out. The album is dedicated to Cliff Burton, and we have the lyrics on that side and a pretty uninspiring Island label on it. I just think it's an album that stood the test of time. It's like Master of Puppets. It sounds really fresh in 2022. I have it on vinyl, and I did upgrade to CD. Both sound great. I've got to say the CD through a subwoofer absolutely kicks it with the drums. It's pretty intense. I've got a subwoofer down here somewhere, and yeah, it's great. But it sounds superb on vinyl. It stood the test of time. If you like any form of metal, look, you know, this was a stage in time where everything was getting boxed, getting pigeonholed. Thrash metal, death metal, speed metal, hair metal, glam metal. So this, you know, was one of the key. You can't. You know, I was around when the thrash movement happened. It was huge. It was absolutely huge. It was transformational. It really also had, you know, hairy old no-album bands, and some hadn't had that much success. Others were stratospheric. Look at Maiden at this time. You know, they finished the World Slavery Tour when this was being recorded. You know, Maiden were huge, but they come from that no-album classic rock background. Maiden, after Paul Di'Anno left, didn't have much punk in them. A lot of people say Motorhead always had a lot of punk in them, but you know, a lot of the bands that were still around, Saxon and Judas Priest, had started in the 70s, whereas Anthrax were really a mixing pot of no-album, classic metals, a lot of Motorhead, punk, and it really shows in this album. You know, it's fast, aggressive, but it's tuneful and musical. And in the background, the backing vocals are shouts, you know, angry shouting, and it just mixes together superbly. The track listings: Among the Living, which is about Stephen King's The Stand, superb. Caught in a Mosh, which has got one of my favourite lyric lines of all time. Talking to you is like clapping with one hand. And I actually say that a lot to myself. Talking to him is like clapping with one hand, and it's a lyric that has stuck in my mind decades. Then you've got I Am the Law, which is about Judge Dredd. NFL. I can't bloody say it. I can. They shout the. Right, I'm going to say it. Right, I'm going to say it. Edit here. Ellificanescent. That's it. Ellificanescent. That's it. NFL. Which stands for Nice Fucking Life. NFL. Nice Fucking Life. That's the chorus. And it's superb. It really is. Skeletons in the Closet. Pretty much horror metal. Indians start side 2, which is really the first of this genre that talks about a social cause. It's about Native Americans. Yes, and it can look a little bit culturally inappropriate with Joey Belladonna wearing the Native American headdress, but for a lot of people who knew nothing about Native American history, this is the first time you heard about the plight of the Indians. One World, great song. ADI, The Horror of It All, again, keeps up the pace. But one of the most underrated songs, one of the best lyric lines ever, is Imitation of Life. It starts off quite slow. How many times have you heard this today? Some bogus piss saying, let's do lunch, babe. And you hear this voice, some bogus piss saying, let's do lunch, babe. And it's quite funny how they bring it together. And it's just about, it's really an early song about wankers in the media. And you know what? In 2022, Imitation of Life and what's said in mainstream media. How many times have you heard it today? Some stupid sucker saying, it's great, we love you, babe. Yes. There's nothing I hate more than all these plastic people with all their plastic promises and all their plastic deals. They just can't be themselves and live their own lives out. They're just an imitation of what life's all about. Anyway, in 2022, this album is incredibly relevant, I think. And if you've not heard it, get it listened to. Preferably buy it.
It's available on many different formats.
I upgraded. I got this second hand £4.99 from X Records in Bolton. But I'm so glad I own the vinyl. The vinyl is vital of this. Yes, vital part of my record collection. Great band, Anthrax, and this is a genre-busting album. Thanks very much for listening. Our next couple of videos, we're going to do a little bit more Anthrax, some shorter videos, some bonus videos for this. So, thanks for watching. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe. If you don't like what you've seen, please comment. It'd be great to hear from you. Everybody, take care and beware of all those plastic people.